Welcome to rSlash AmITheButthole, where OP wins the pillow war. Am I the butthole for burying my wife alive with pillows? So my wife bought these decorative pillows for our bed when we first got it. They look great, I have to admit, and we both love them during the day. But at night, my gosh, this woman slings them over to my side of the bed like a soldier chucking grenades from the trenches. She will literally throw all of them on my side of the bed and then go to sleep like nothing's wrong. She does this every night, which has caused us to be in a pillow war. Every night, we find new and weird ways to piss each other off with how we can arrange the pillows only on the other person's side. Today, I had the brilliant idea of letting her beat me to bed today so she stacks all the pillows on my side. When she fell asleep, I basically built a pillow fort all around her with pillows from every room in our house. It was very unstable and fell as soon as she moved even an inch. Which was hilarious because she got hit with about 5 different pillows at once and she freaked out thinking someone was attacking her or something. Now she's mad at me. Am I the butthole, or is all fair in love and pillow war? OP, you get 0 out of 5 buttholes and your wife got what she deserved. Play pillow games, win pillow prizes. Am I the butthole for demanding my fiancé and his mom pay for a new wedding dress? I'm a 26-year-old woman and my fiancé is a 28-year-old guy. We've been engaged for 4 months. My future mother-in-law kept annoying me and sending me suggestions for choosing the right wedding dress, and said that she knew better and tried to get me to approve of wedding dresses that she chose. And when she couldn't enforce her decision, she demanded that I take her with me to buy my wedding dress so she could have an opinion. Before I went shopping, I called her to ask if she wanted to come, but started making excuses about how busy she was with my sister-in-law. I went shopping with my mom, and I was able to find a really nice dress, although it cost me a little over what I saved for, but it was worth it. I made some changes to it, and it was perfect. It arrived at my apartment at the end of the week. I made sure it was stored in a safe place so it didn't get ruined. Yesterday I got back from my mom's house, and found that my fiancé wasn't home and neither was my dress. I called him immediately, knowing that he must have taken it to show his mom since she continuously asked to see it and refused to have me send her pictures of it on Facebook. I was so mad when it was confirmed that my fiancé took it to show it to his mom. He said he was going to be home in 30 minutes after he went to the supermarket. I waited for longer than I had to, and then when he arrived, I ran to get my dress that was buried underneath grocery bags. I took it to check on it, and the zipper was broken and the dress itself was stretched out. I was like, what the F happened to it? My mother-in-law must have tried it on because it looked ruined. The straps were almost loose. I had to call my mother-in-law when my fiancé told me his mom and sister took turns trying it on. I was absolutely livid. She told me she did nothing wrong and that I was making a big deal out of it. She said that she'd get a replacement for the broken zipper, but I told her to pay for a new dress since it was stretched out and no longer fitting. She refused and said that I probably wasn't happy with my dress choice and wanted her to pay so I could get a new one. I yelled at her for trying it on and ruining it. That she and my fiancé were responsible for ruining my dress, so they should pay for a new one. It no longer fits and the straps are in a horrible condition. My mom said that she'd pay for fixing it, but I just hate it now that someone else wore it before me. I'm mad at both of them and seriously considering postponing the wedding. OP, I agree on postponing the wedding, maybe even canceling it altogether. Your fiancé, mother-in-law, and sister-in-law all disrespected you. If they're gonna be this rude and disrespectful to you now, then just imagine what it's gonna be like when you get married into their family. OP, please see this as the red sign that it is and get this issue resolved before you get married. You get 0 out of 5 buttholes because your request is perfectly reasonable. Your fiancé, mother-in-law, and sister-in-law each get 3 out of 5 buttholes for completely disrespecting you. Am I the butthole for laughing in my brother and sister-in-law's faces when they demanded to use my credit card? So I'm a 22-year-old woman. I don't have much knowledge about finances and stuff, as I still live at home since I'm at university. I do, however, pay my parents about £300 a month in rent, I pay my own phone plan, buy material stuff I want or need, pay out for other services like for music or whatever. And I try to put as much as I can in savings while still keeping enough in my main account for day-to-day purchases. Currently, I'm saving up for driving lessons, and I hope that if I pass decently, I can use some of my savings towards getting a car. I'm in my final year of university, so pretty soon I'll be all done and able to work full-time. I also decided to get a credit card so I can learn how to manage credit wisely and build some up. My credit score is good for someone of my age and circumstance, but obviously it's nothing great in comparison to others. I should point out that at most I only plan on using this card up to £100. I've stuck to that so far and only actually used it twice with those purchases adding up to £80 and I paid it off quickly. I don't plan on exceeding my limit anytime soon, as I've heard far too many horror stories of people just using their credit card too much because it was handy and then going into debt. The only people I disclosed this to was my dad and my mom, and they have the tendency to blab to my brother and sister-in-law, who are both 28. My mom happened to overhear me talking one day, and before I knew it, my brother and sister-in-law got wind of my credit card and asked if they could use it. They both admitted that they had debt brought on by excessive credit card use, and thought that since I basically had nothing owed on mine, it was free money. I told them quite politely that I was really uncomfortable with that idea and that I would owe them money, and I can't just magic up that kind of money. Things went quiet until a few days later when they both turned up at my house. They were nice to start with, but basically started demanding I let them use the card, and they tried to manipulate my mother into guilting me into doing it. I got really angry, and when my brother said I owe it to them because they used to babysit me up until a couple of years ago, I laughed in their faces and walked out. When I came home, I learned that they tried to manipulate my dad and he kicked them both out. My mother then tried to guilt trip my dad, and my dad told her to go too, and she's currently staying with my brother and sister-in-law. The only person on my side is my dad, who tells me they're all trying to take me for a ride and they're trying to manipulate me because I'm young and they think I'm vulnerable. My brother, sister-in-law, and mom, on the other hand, think it isn't a big deal letting someone else use my card. It's really messing with my head, and I just want everyone to stop arguing. Am I the butthole? OP, no way. You get 0 out of 5 buttholes here. If you give your credit card to your brother and sister-in-law, then they're just going to use it to pay off their debt, which basically means that their debt becomes your debt. And that's if you're lucky. If you're unlucky, then they're just going to use the card to buy a bunch of garbage and still be in debt. Which means that you still get saddled with all that debt, but they're still also broke, so they'll continue to hit you up for money. Am I the butthole for flipping out on my son's school after they lied to him about donation prizes? My son is in 4th grade. School is only open on Mondays. The rest of the week he's home with me. They don't do virtual learning during the rest of the week. No Zoom calls are made. No teacher actually checks in. Homework isn't to be turned in, and instead, they get a participation grade the following week if they just tell the teacher they completed it. It's backwards, and the students aren't being graded for the work that they actually do. Every Monday, we get a new flyer in the mail asking for donations. Last week, we got a flyer that said to send out 20 emails to other people to ask them for donations with the promise of prizes for participation. They also had other prizes on this flyer. Basically, the more people who donate using your name, the bigger the prize you get. My son wanted the headphone prize. Nowhere on the flyer did it say how many donations was needed. I called the school to ask and they said 12, so I sent out 20 emails. 14 people donated. The donation list was to be emailed to the school with a student ID, and we were to pick up the prizes this past Monday. My son was losing his mind excited because he got the 12 donations needed for the headphones. We walk in, and they proceed to tell me and my son that he didn't qualify for the prize because in order to be eligible, you needed to get those 20 donations. Apparently, the prizes for donations started counting after you received the 12. They turned damn near every student away, not just my kid. So I sent my son out with his father and pulled the teacher and principal aside to let them know that I thought it was messed up that they got these kids' hopes up for absolutely nothing, and that all they accomplished was destroying the children's spirits by lying to their faces. I then told them that I was told by the secretary that he only needed 12 donations for those headphones. They said, "Sorry you feel that way. This is just how things are right now due to COVID." So I responded with, "Oh, so lying to students and breaking their spirits is okay because of COVID? Failing to provide virtual learning for the rest of the week like other schools is okay because of the quarantine? Asking for donations when the kids are only here once a week must be okay too, right?" I then walked out. Well, my son got the headphones in the mail today with a note from the superintendent that said, "I'm very sorry for the actions of the school system and the confusion formed around the donation drive. We're trying to work with the families, not turn them away. Please accept this as an apology." My son is over the moon. My husband says that I was being a Karen and that we should have just dropped it because it teaches our son that life isn't fair, and that I now look like a helicopter parent. Am I the butthole? I don't think I am. OP, I like to think of myself as one of the world's leading experts on entitled Karens. And no, you are definitely not an entitled Karen here. I also like to think that I'm pretty familiar with choosing beggars, which is important here because the school is definitely acting like a choosing beggar. OP, you get 0 out of 5 buttholes, and the school gets 3 out of 5 buttholes. In addition to lying and scamming students, I'm pretty sure that what they did was illegal. I don't think you can hold a public contest and then just retroactively change the rules so that people don't qualify. I mean, isn't that just like literally a scam? Am I the butthole for humiliating a man and his entire family when he proposed to me? I'm a 28-year-old female, and I come from a very traditional Indian family. I left them when I came to the United States for university because I knew that if I accepted their financial help in paying my fees, then they would hold it against me later. So I got a part-time job along with financial aid. I maintained low contact with my family and didn't visit them again in person until I was 26 when they contacted me about my younger brother passing university. Over the last 2 years, I visited them 4 times, and each time they've been talking about marriage, although I stated very clearly that I wasn't interested. They brought up kids and how finding guys willing to marry older women was hard. I said that's no problem because I'm child-free and that I don't want or need my parents to find a guy for me. January this year, I went to visit them and they said they had something special for me and that I would absolutely love it. The day after I reached their home, they said they were throwing me a welcome home party. I thought they were trying to fix our relationship and let it be. They invited a lot of people and it had obviously already been planned. An hour in, my parents introduced me to a man in his 30s and his parents. So the next thing I know, this guy goes down on one knee and whips out a beautiful ring. I'm surprised and angry at my parents for still trying to control my life and putting me in such a situation. I said no, but then our parents began to push my buttons and I exploded. I called the guy, his parents, and my parents lowlives for trying to trick me and basically insulted their views. I called them misogynistic and disgusting. I told them to go F themselves and I left. I packed my bags and went to stay at a hotel until it was time for my flight. My mom cried and begged me to stay and said that they had already paid for half the dowry and ring. I stopped responding to my parents' calls and texts because I was done with them. My cousins and some of my old friends have been telling me that I was being unfair by being so rude to that guy and his parents. The thing is, they were in on it. They expected me to say yes and sent me a lot of insults when I refused to reconsider. They were humiliated, and in their tiny group of small-minded people, my parents were being ostracized for raising a whore of a daughter. The guy and his parents were also humiliated because they were rejected by a whore. Am I the butthole for being so rude? I feel like I should have handled the situation more delicately, rather than blowing up at all of them. Alright, OP, so this story's a little bit difficult to rate because it's not exactly clear what the guy's intentions were. If he knew that you didn't want to get married and he proposed anyway, then yeah, he's totally the butthole and you get 0 out of 5 buttholes. But if he didn't know that because your parents lied to him and told him that you were interested in getting married, then I can't really blame this guy for proposing to you. So in that case, I would give the guy 0 out of 5 buttholes because he's basically just following his arranged marriage culture. And in that case, yeah, I think I'd have to give you like 1 out of 5 buttholes because it wouldn't really be fair to insult this guy if he was deceived by your parents. But past that, OP, I think it's good that you're following your dreams and not allowing your family to control your life. Regardless of the details of this story, you get 0 out of 5 buttholes for living your own life. Am I the butthole for being offended that my daughter called me ugly? This isn't a big deal, but I feel like I'm going crazy over it. Yesterday at dinner, my 15-year-old daughter was telling me and my wife about a guy she likes in school, and she thinks he likes her back. My wife and I were happy for her, and I would support her liking anyone that treats her right and makes her happy. She was telling us how he's smart, funny, and has a great six-pack. I'm used to the girl talk. My wife laughed and said something along the lines of, "As long as he's a good person." My daughter replied, "Well, yeah, but looks are also important. I don't want to end up with someone like Daddy." I asked her what she meant by that. I don't remember her exact words, but it was along the lines that I'm round, bald, and short. There was no immediate, "just kidding," from her. I told her that wasn't a nice thing to say and that she should apologize. Before she said anything though, my wife chimed in teasing that guys were always so sensitive. My daughter laughed. I usually would immediately address this kind of situation, but I was pretty upset and didn't want to scream or cry. I know that's so lame. I stayed mostly silent for the rest of dinner. A bit of background, I've recently been feeling more self-conscious. I'm not ugly, and even if I was, I have other qualities to make up for it, and I know that my wife adores me. But I've definitely noticeably gained some weight and lost some hair. My wife is as stunning and youthful as the day I met her, and my daughter is a spitting image of her. However, I have a feeling that if my daughter insulted her appearance, she would be very offended and expect me to back her up. Before bed, I addressed the issue with my wife. I explained that it hurt my feelings, that I want to teach my daughter to be kind to others, and that it would mean a lot if we could talk to our daughter about why saying that wasn't right. My wife didn't take me seriously at all. Among the things she said was that the best way to make someone stop teasing you is to ignore it. And my wife said that she was also materialistic at that age, but grew out of it on her own. She also said that I was asking for it by asking her what she meant. I told my wife that I was disappointed in her and that I would be talking to my daughter alone when she comes home from school today. I plan on talking to my daughter today, both because I'm still offended and I really don't want her to say that to anyone else. I don't plan on punishing her, just having an honest conversation and seeing where it goes. Nonetheless, I'm partially wondering if I'm the butthole for escalating the situation since it's a one-off occurrence. Down in the comments, I'm going to read this post from Method Man. Not the butthole. WTF is wrong with the two of them? Go in there and call them fat, and then when they freak out and get upset, say that women always get so easily offended. That'll showcase their hypocrisy. And you said you don't plan on punishing her? Why not? That's how children learn. Consequences. I agree, OP. If you said that to one of them, they'd act like it was a dagger to the heart, which just showcases how much of a hypocrite they are. I'm giving your daughter 1 out of 5 buttholes for being a mean teen, and I'm giving your wife 2 out of 5 buttholes for not supporting her partner. That was rSlash AmITheButthole, and if you like this content, then check out my podcast where I publish the exact same episodes. Also, hit that subscribe button because I put out new Reddit videos every single day.